Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Memo. We are happy to be back as always. You got the same guys, Richard Lyons, Matt Brodsky, and Hummus Masados. Alex is over there. He's having a good time with some hummus. So that's what we're gonna call him for today's episode. But we're back. We got a lot of NFL to talk about. It's definitely an NFL-focused episode. We could touch on a little basketball if we want to. The Lakers play tonight at 9 as of us recording this, so we'll know the outcome of that after this. But otherwise, we're mostly going to do NFL takeaways. We're going to bring back the Scrap Heap, something we haven't done in a while. I feel like the Scrap Heap is definitely a more NFL-centric segment. We definitely get a lot more done during the NFL season. And then we're going to finish it off with the picks. Matt, what's the records looking at?
Yes, sir. So through 2 weeks here, after the 3 games we had picked last for week 2, we currently sit at myself 7-0, undefeated. Season continues.
That's under review. We're going back to tapes.
Yeah, show the tapes. We can go pick by pick, and I am elite now. I really figured out what didn't work last year, and we've made a couple changes. So it turns out when you pick the better teams, usually that does help out. But you might want to try this week, Rich, because you're sitting in last.
It's okay. It's a long season.
So I'm at 7-0. Alex, defending champion, sitting in the middle at 4-3, and Richard down in the basement at 2-5. We got.
All right.
Boo.
We've got 4 games this week that we'll get to, all really, really good games. I think we're going to get some different opinions, but going to be a great week 3 coming up after a disappointing week 2 matchup-wise. I think it's always it was a good week. You know, it's always
Richard was pretty close on his upset pick.
I was
last week.
It was a scoregami,
Jets
though.
over the 49ers.
Was it?
It's 31-13.
I don't think
Isn't
that counts for anything in our competition.
There's never been a 31-13 score.
Scoregami is when it hasn't happened, right?
Yeah.
What's it when it's reverse? 31-13.
That's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
When it's happened many times.
Yeah. Wait, so wasn't there actually a scoregami the last week or
week
something?
1.
Yeah.
Week 1. Yeah, the Vikings Packers.
What was the final there?
It was the first ever 43-34.
Oh, so that's why you thought that, because it was also
yes, that's why.
reversal.
That's what exactly.
Interesting.
That's the first ever.
You thought it was like a symmetrical thing?
Oh.
Yeah, I knew it. I also knew that it was a score that's never happened. So I'm dumb for thinking it's both. I've known that in the past. But yeah. So I guess we'll start off with some takeaways from the week.
Yeah, we're getting into finish up with the upset pick that we tried out last week. We all went 0-3.
Yeah.
Alex took the Bengals on Thursday night over the Browns. They lost by 5, which is actually a pretty close game. It's a late garbage time touchdown, though. It was secured.
Yeah.
Jets
covered the spread.
They did cover the spread. Fuck me. Richard, Jets over the Niners. Back to the drawing board on that one. And
yeah, we'll get into that.
Jags over the Titans look good for me for a little bit, but 33-30 Titans. So we're all 0-1.
They covered the spread as well.
They did. 8.5 spread, which I knew was just absurd.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
Oh my God! Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, it was very rude of me to do that. Sorry, everyone.
This is why you're 2-5. This is why you can't have nice things on this podcast.
It's because I can't, Can't.
We gotta think about a punishment.
Yeah. We'll get.
Oh
We
yeah.
gotta lock that in before it gets too late. And
Richard he loves putting it off. Like he's last in fantasy last year and didn't get a punishment.
I put it off. All I said was we're not voting on a punishment when I'm already in last and you guys can target me.
Yeah, so let's see if this happens again this year. We got to hurry up because I know you'll just snake your way around it. And every time we bring it up, you'll come up with a different distraction.
Watch what happens when
get the conversation off the topic.
Just watch what happens when you're in last again, and then we'll see. Yeah, Mr. Big 7-0.
Richard should have to
7-0.
Richard should, if Richard comes in he should have to block the Jets subreddit off his phone and the Discord. Kid will go insane.
Yeah, we can't do cruel and unusual punishments. It has to be within the realm of reasonability. Is that a word?
Reasonability?
Oh no.
It sounds like a
No, it's not. I don't think so.
reasonability.
Because ability is a word. It's just putting reason and
I don't
ability
think it's a word.
together.
In
all right.
reasonableness.
It's shut the fuck upableness. That's what it is. Let's get to these
2 and
damn
5.
takeaways.
You know what? On Google,
what?
when you look up a word like that, if you're unsure if it's a word, it won't tell you. It's just like everything is a word. Like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like they just like make it work somehow.
All it takes is 1 week where I'm 4-0 and you're 0-4, and all of a sudden you're 7-4 and I'm 6-5.
Wow, that's great math there.
Yeah.
Well, don't hold your breath for that to happen, buddy.
And then we're right in it. All right,
we'll
so
get to that.
Got some good games coming up this week.
Yeah, this could be moving week for you, Rich. Get out of the basement.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go first, and I'm just going to match you the rest of the season, so you cannot pick up any ground.
Yeah, so stay tuned if you want to hear that, because it's going to be an exciting segment. Obviously, me and Matt have a little rivalry going.
Honestly?
What?
Because then you'd win.
Yeah, then you would.
Is that even confirmed? What if Richard's just picking great? What if you guys are just picking great?
Yeah,
picks
it would.
together?
It would help me not come in last at this point, but you can pass us. What I should do is follow you.
You can clinch not last.
Yeah, I should follow you though, Alex, because Richard is not a threat. You are. You won last year, so I want to match you, and then Richard will just wallow in the basement all season.
All right, whatever.
Wow.
I just can't wait till the end, and we see what happens.
Nah, I wouldn't do that though. It's not fair. That takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, it does. So
yeah, you should have to pick for every pick first.
It's true. We should really have our picks in a hat or in an envelope, and we. I didn't mean a hat. I meant like hidden from each other. We picked them beforehand.
Is that why you're 2 and 5? You're picking out of a hat each week?
Yeah, I'm off to the side. I'm like, just 1 second.
Yeah.
I got the Giants.
Or it should be like Jeopardy, where you just have to like write it down.
No, I don't think that works.
And just hold up a piece of paper.
No,
that's the Los Angeles Rams.
That would be a good idea. Maybe like we say the game, and instead of going to each other, we all write it down, and then we say 3, 2, 1, and we hold it up, and then you got to explain yourself.
That's a little too much.
It's a little too much. It's too much now. You can't write it down on a piece of paper.
I think it's been working how it's been going. We're not like actually picking based on what the other.
We used to put
pick.
pieces of paper in a shredder. Now you can't put a little pen to it.
What are we just gonna all start screaming Chiefs at one time?
No, you hold it up. Hold it up.
We're just like Chiefs. Ooh.
You know what? I'm done with you.
This is probably.
Are we done being not funny?
This is a segment for off the air. Also, this is a little behind the curtain of how the show is being run. So let's just get to some football.
They like to know what's going on behind the scenes, so they can make sure we're running a good operation here.
Yeah, all our fans.
Okay, let's get into the takeaways from week 2.
Yeah, my takeaway is Matt's a dumb idiot, and he's coming in last.
Okay, 2 and 5.
All right,
well, we
you go
did
first.
this, like I was saying before this all got thrown way out of pocket. The matchups that were in week 2 on paper might not have been like the most attractive from a pick standpoint. That's why we threw in like a little upset last week, but there weren't many marquee games basically, but there did turn out to be a bunch of competitive games. And as always, whenever there's a week of football, there's a bunch of takeaways. So we can get into a little bit of that with the highlights. Obviously, the biggest takeaway, we can just get this out of the way now, just the amount of injuries across the league in this week was astonishing.
Oh, yeah. These guys need a stretch.
They need a stretch. They need a real off-season training camp. I don't know what you want to blame to it. I know ACLs are like always like kind of freak injuries, though. They're not really dependent on
I was
fitness.
joking.
But
Saquon needs to stretch a little bit. Maybe next year.
Oh my gosh.
This guy is going for the neck.
Heartless.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the big ones, Saquon Barkley's out for the year. Cortland Sutton on the Broncos out for the year. Drew Lock is going to be out for a while. The entire San Francisco 49ers starting lineup got hurt. Didn't really seem to stop them against the Jets, but moving forward, we'll see how that affects them. But yeah, just ultimately a lot of injuries. It was a rough day for a lot of different teams, a lot of stars going down, and you just hate to see that.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's like star players, like you just said, Nick Bosa, Saquon Barkley.
Right, yeah, you'd rather like a backup tear his ACL, and then he's the one that gets hurt.
I mean, you're going to put it like that and make me look like a dick.
And then he fizzles out of the league and
has no
financial
security.
You know,
that's what Rich is really hoping for.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
lives
I would if I was a Jets fan, I would rather John Franklin Myers tear his ACL than Quinnen Williams. Yeah.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Cortland Sutton, like a bunch of
Can you turn it on?
Really relevant guys around the league, and guys with fantasy relevance and just like players that are fun to watch. And the 49ers draft Nick Bosa last year after being 2-14, and then they I'm not saying he made them a Super Bowl contender, but he was obviously a huge part of that defense. And D Ford is out as well. He's not out for the year, but they're gonna miss that pass rush. Obviously they didn't miss it against the Jets, but they're gonna miss it against the good teams.
Yeah, and their offense, they lost Mostert, they lost Jimmy G, Kittle didn't play. Debo hasn't played. Their 4 best players on offense are all hurt.
Yeah.
Isn't Ayuk hurt too?
He actually came back.
He missed week 1, but he played in week 2.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're just absolutely decimated right now, and that's, we can get to it. I guess we can get to it now since we're not really talking about the Niners much. But in that division, the NFC West, where every other team is 2-0, Cardinals look great. Rams seem to be getting back to their 2-year-ago form, and the Seahawks are the Seahawks. That's going to be very hard to overcome for the Niners, team who obviously had Super Bowl aspirations again.
Yeah, they have.
Sorry,
Alex. They're playing, the Giants next week, which they're still a better team regardless of who's on the field. They have a lot of depth, the 49ers. And obviously, the Giants just lost Saquon Barkley. I think they have some other guys banged up. Didn't Sterling Shepard get banged up again?
Yeah, what else is new?
Evan Ingram always gets banged up as well. But
they signed Devonta Freeman, the Giants. He's back in the league.
Oh, man, it's over for the 49ers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah,
It could actually be a good
49ers are sure, I guess. 49ers team that predicates itself on its run and its pass rush, and we're really going to see what this guy Jimmy G is made out of.
He's hurt.
Yeah, well, when he comes back, I know it's like a short-term thing.
He's week to week right now. It looked like initial reports was that he's going to miss like a month, but Shanahan's saying he's going to be a game-time decision. But yeah, no, you're right. We'll see what he can do. It's not going to be easy.
And now it's time for Nick Mullins, the best quarterback I've ever seen, to shine.
Yep.
He's got a rocket, that guy.
He played well when he was in for them.
He did.
I mean, Shanahan's just a great play caller, so I think a lot of guys are going to succeed either way. But, I mean, that time he was in for them, he's definitely a capable backup. And maybe he's better than Jimmy G because...
But it's looking like...
It's looking like what?
But it's looking like they're going to miss the playoffs.
I mean, they're 1-1. That's a little early to say, but...
Yeah, but, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know, so shut the hell up.
All these guys missing extended periods of time, and the division is so good. How are they gonna compete with the teams in their division?
It's definitely going to be
an extra playoff spot.
I mean, the Cardinals.
The extra playoff spot might help.
All right.
That whole division could get in the playoffs, which is weird.
Right.
But no, I agree with you. I think they're in big trouble.
Yeah, I guess the Cardinals are people aren't sold on them yet, but They have two good
wins. I
like
their offense. I just
one over the 49ers.
I like their offense a lot. I just don't know if their defense will end up being good enough over a whole season.
I mean, they play the Lions, Panthers, and Jets next, so they're just going to be 5-0.
Yeah. That's very possible until they run into the Jets. It's going to stop them in their tracks.
Upset pick of the week every week. Yeah. Jets over whoever they play.
I mean, they're going to win a game, so
let's hope.
Let's hope, yeah. But, so unless you had some more to say.
I was going to take them over the Broncos, the Jets, in a couple weeks, but after that Bortles signing, I might have to reconsider.
So I was going to say one of my takeaways was it looks like, now it's still early, obviously, looks like Cam Newton is back, people. Not only was he, running over the Seahawks, but he threw for 400 yards. I think it was actually 397, but basically 400 yards. Julian Edelman had a career high in receiving yards, which was very surprising considering the chemistry you had with Tom Brady. N'Keal Harry actually looked good, but Cam was slinging it all over the field. He was running well, and he looked really good. And I know Alex thinks it's a fluke because Russell Wilson threw a pick six because of Greg Olsen dropping the ball. But, they were within a yard of winning that game against a team that's going to make the playoffs in the Seahawks. And I think very early, and now if they're actually going to be this pass-heavy team, I think Russell Wilson is a MVP candidate already and might win. This seems like it could be his year to win. And they went shot for shot with each other. And Cam Newton's usually not a guy that you expect to throw for 400 yards and sling the ball over the field. I think being on the Patriots and in a Josh McDaniels offense, I think he's going to look good the whole year. And I think Cam Newton's back, and he wants to prove everyone wrong. And he's also on my fantasy team, and there's no bias there.
No, never. There's never any bias with your takes. There's a couple things about the Cam throwing for 400 yards. Obviously, they were trailing the whole game, so they didn't really run the ball that much at all. And he dropped back. I don't know how many attempts he had, but I know he was throwing it all over the field. And the Seattle secondary is terrible. The guy Shaquille Griffin, he's been playing awful. He's been the worst corner in the league through 2 games, and they got carved up by the Falcons in week 1, and the Pats in week 2. I know both offenses are pretty good with good quarterbacks, but that's going to be a problem for the Seahawks, I think, going forward.
Yeah, and their strong safety sucks.
Right, but no, I do like Cam. I think he looks just as people have hoped that he was going to look, like back to his old form. We'll see if he can do it for a full year, but there's definitely a lot to like there. I think the Pats are going to be better than people thought, or I thought at least.
He was 30 for 44, 397 yards. 68% completion, which is obviously a great game. He did throw a pick, but yeah, he looks good, and it's nice to see him look good after away from the game.
He looked really good. He looked a lot better than I thought he would. I asked my friend Andrew if he thought the Pats had any shot against the Seahawks, because I didn't, and he was like 100%. And yeah, I was surprised to see the game this close. But I think Matt's right.
Is he a Seahawks or Pats fan, Andrew?
He's a Pats fan.
I was going to say, does Andrew have skin in the game here? What's so good about Andrew, huh?
He's a Pats fan, but he's pretty impartial.
Yeah.
But I think Matt's right, and I'm not trying to hate on the Pats or Cam. They definitely exceeded my expectations and played better than I thought they would. But the Seahawks defense is really fucking bad.
They've given up 415 yards per game passing in these 2 games.
Right.
Yeah, that's been a concern for them.
Off the top of my head, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Robert Gage, Julian Edelman.
Russell Gage to
all
you.
These guys, Russell Gage, whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know who he is. But they made him look like fucking Jerry Rice out there. So I'm sold on them. They're going to be a good team. They're going to make some noise. I want to see what they do against some of the better defenses in the NFL.
No, I definitely agree. And their defense, I mean, I know they're missing a lot of players from opting out, but their defense, looked rough too. They were one of the top defenses last year. They're supposed to have the best corner in the league, reigning defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore, and they got torn up by Russell Wilson, as most teams would. I mean, I'm not going to really fault them for that, but you definitely want to see the defense play better down the stretch and in general. But I just think a lot of people were already just writing him off. Right? They just said, he's washed. He's had so many surgeries. He had shoulder surgery. The last time we saw him, he looked like he didn't even know how to throw a football. It was like painful to watch, and to see him out there slinging it and like doing it well, whether it's because he could easily just be airmailing passes and throwing them in the dirt and not hitting guys. He actually towards the end of the game when they were on that potential game-winning drive, he hit Julian Edelman in the end zone, and it was a little bit high, but it hit Edelman right in the hands. It was a pretty good throw, I thought. And, I just think from what everyone expected, especially since he's been away from the game with injury, he looks good.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely.
So that was one of my takeaways of the week. Anyone?
Cool.
Anyone have another one?
Cool. Good job, Richard.
Good job, dude. You finally said something.
I've got one, yeah. My takeaway, and I
been on fucking Zoom calls the entire day. That's my canned response when I don't know what to say.
Cool, yeah. No, I did the same thing. Like if I'm in meetings, I was in a meeting with like this client yesterday for them seekers, and like they just like be like, all right, and we want this to be like, yeah, cool. No, we can definitely do that. Like,
okay, great. So,
cool. No, it's cool. Not great.
Okay, cool.
All right, my takeaway is Jesus Christ, Bill O'Brien. I mean, this guy. I can't. I give him shit every week, and he just continues to just fail me every week. Or he's failing the Texans. He's failing Deshaun Watson. I wonder if Watson put a clause in that contract that says, if Bill O'Brien is still the coach after the season, the contract is void.
It's void.
I mean, listen, this guy, Watson now, he's out there on a complete island. I know they played the Chiefs and the Ravens, which is ridiculous, and they play the Steelers next week. Just absolutely brutal schedule making. But they're 0-2 right now. They haven't looked like they were even in these games with the Ravens and the Chiefs. And this is a team with a quarterback like Watson. They would at least like to think that they can contend in the AFC to a degree or keep games close, and they just are getting blown out every game so far. Bill O'Brien obviously having gotten rid of DeAndre Hopkins, knowing that Will
Alex
Fuller
didn't care about this one.
He's a big Bill O'Brien guy. Yeah. knowing that you have a guy like Will Fuller who gets hurt every other game. Obviously, he left the game early in this one. You're just going to get up and walk away while I'm ranting about Bill O'Brien?
This is like version 6 of the Bill O'Brien rant.
But there's always a new layer. This time, when they get rid of their best weapon, when all they have is injury-prone guys and Will Fuller, they bring in another injury-prone guy in Brandon Cooks, who was hurt in the first game. Now Will Fuller's hurt in the second game. They barely used David Johnson. He had 11 carries this time. Their big offseason addition at the risk of at the price of DeAndre Hopkins. And then you look at it. Deshaun Watson has been sacked 4 times in each game so far, so he already leads the league in sacks, which is a stat that never seems to change. And it falls on Bill O'Brien because not only is he the coach, he runs the front office too for some godforsaken reason that I would never understand. And it's literally like, how much can we screw over Deshaun Watson and minimize what he's good at and see how far that can take us while we're still doing that. So I don't know what's going on. My takeaway is that the Texans are a mess right now, and it's not going to get any better until they bring in a new regime in front office and head coach. And lucky for him, he's wearing those masks now that are hiding his butt chin, but we all know it's still there, okay? Well, you can't hide forever, Bill.
One day the masks won't be required.
Yeah, and then what are you going to do?
You'll probably be not on the NFL team by then. So.
Yeah.
I really can't for the life of me understand like what the thought process was when building this team, and specifically the offense. They're so anemic. They have no playmakers. They have no offensive line, and then they have one of the most talented quarterbacks in the game just getting pummeled for 4 quarters.
For years now.
It's just sad.
He's been like one of the most sacked quarterbacks for
years.
years, and they don't even care. They're going to Andrew Luck this guy. Yeah, he's a great O-lineman, but that's one guy.
So
and
that's all
he's
Bill
got
needs.
the gas mask between quarters.
That's his oxygen tank. Just
yeah.
he busts out the gas
Yeah,
mask.
when they like have 100-yard touchdowns and they gotta like he's just with the gas mask.
You just see smoke coming out.
Yeah, the Texans are it's just not a surprise. So until they get rid of Bill O'Brien,
they're a joke.
They'll definitely be a hot spot for one of these younger coaching candidates, like a college guy, maybe a Joe Brady, the Panthers OC, who was the LSU coordinator, or a Lincoln Riley, guys like that, that are going to see Deshaun Watson, a Deshaun Watson-led team available, and say, I want to coach that guy. I want to be there. So they could potentially lead to good things for Watson and the Texans, but it just sucks to see him like these prime years wasted. I mean, I know he'll be around a long time, but it's just embarrassing and unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's not going to change. He's not going to fire himself, Bill O'Brien. I mean, the owner passed away like 2 years ago, so I think they're still going through like ownership struggles or trying to find buyers or sell the team. I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
It's a shame.
He has what we like to call in the business carte blanche.
Carte blanche. He has carte blanche.
If anybody shouldn't have carte blanche,
Yeah,
it's Bill O'Brien.
And another takeaway, speaking of carte blanche, Doug Peterson's Eagles aren't looking very great right now. Mr. Carson Wentz has been struggling hard.
it's your boy.
Yeah, I have been a fan.
I think
of
we're going to
Wentz.
get to that a little bit later on.
Yeah. So, I guess I won't go into that. But I did have one more takeaway that I want to say, unless, Alex, you had a separate one that you wanted to get to, because I don't think you went yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the fuck are the Vikings doing in these first 2 weeks? And what does Kirk Cousins think? Like, what the fuck is going on over there?
He looks like shit.
I feel like it's kind of flying under the radar. It's not really a hot topic, I guess. I guess Carson Wentz and the Eagles are kind of stealing the shitty spotlight, and the Jets. But in the last game, they score 11 points. Kirk Cousins against the Colts, who, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but their defense isn't anything amazing.
They got DeForest Buckner, but like their corners aren't great. Malik Hooker just tore his Achilles. Their starting safety. They're definitely
it's a solid defense.
Yeah, it's nothing special.
DeForest Buckner.
Right. And they score 11 points against the Colts. They get like thoroughly defeated. Kirk Cousins threw for 113 yards.
3 picks.
That's not a joke. 113 yards, 3 picks. And all of their running backs, like Dalvin Cook, he had 63 yards on the ground. I guess they couldn't like really run the ball, because they were down. But like, what is this team's identity right now? Like, the final score against the Packers was close, but that game was not close. The Packers pretty much lit them up.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers looked like vintage Rodgers and was throwing all over their secondary. I know it's a little banged up. And then against the 0-1 Colts, who didn't look good at all in Week 1, they kind of had their ass handed to them. So I'm wondering about the Vikings, who, they won a playoff game last year, and they were a team at least I was excited about coming into this year. I know they're dealing with some injuries, but they have no identity right now, and if they don't start putting it together soon, like the the Packers are going to run away with that division.
Yeah, it's. I think they definitely have some O-line problems, which I feel like that's been a thing for years, but it's also weird considering they were a great rushing team last year, and Cousins did have a great year. Maybe Kevin Stefanski, he was a big part of that offense, and scheming up that offense, and
Stephon Diggs was too.
He
shipped
was
him
too.
out for nothing.
They got, wasn't it a first-round pick?
For no reason.
Who's playing?
Well, he
playing very well for the
playing
Bills.
there. They got Justin Jefferson. They got.
All right, I get why.
Yeah, you get a first-round pick for him if he didn't want to be there, whatever. But you got to wonder if Stefanski was, he obviously was a huge part of scheming up that offense and putting guys in a position to succeed. He's known for his run game and his run concepts, and they obviously were a great rushing team last year. But I think it's more concerning that Cousins is playing this way. 113 yards and 3 picks. That's like, that is absolutely
Josh Rosen numbers.
Yeah. Well, no, that Josh Rosen's elite, but I think they can bounce back. I think they will bounce back. Cousins especially, I feel like he struggles early on a lot, and you get the same storyline that he's, he can't play in big games, he sucks, whatever, overpaid, and then you look at him at the end of the season, and you're like, wait, why was everyone saying Kirk Cousins sucks and he's overpaid? He had a pretty good year, and the Vikings made the playoffs. I guess you're 0-2, and they got that's the thing though. They got embarrassed in both games, so it's maybe a different story this time around. But I would expect them to bounce back, but definitely not a good look so far.
I think their problems on defense were a little bit under. They've kind of flew under the radar in the offseason, especially like in the secondary, like we've been talking about. They're giving a lot of playing time to 2 rookie corners because of the injuries and the losses that they've had in the offseason, Jeff Gladney and Cameron Dantzler. Jeff Gladney was a first-round pick, Dantzler in the 3rd, but neither one of them have really been good at all, which is obviously a learning curve there, putting them in the fire like that, you expect it. But they just really don't have much of a defense aside from the front 4. I wouldn't even call it the front 7. They have Ngakoue and Hunter, who hasn't played. But aside from that, I think that it's a defense that we're so used to being, pretty solid, and always they're always like that team that runs the ball and plays good defense. It's what like Mike Zimmer does. But they took a big hit in this offseason with their losses and guys just kind of underperforming so far. So I think that'd be something to watch. I don't know if it gets better. Rich, you said that you think they'll bounce back. I think they could be in for a rough year.
Yeah, and obviously that is a concern, and you're completely right that people kind of understated that and didn't think it was as big of a concern as it looks like. But that their quarterback threw for 113 yards, so like it's not just that one side of the ball. Like they're getting shut down on offense. The only reason they ended up scoring so many points against the Packers is because the Packers were just blowing them out. And
yeah, that's the thing. It was the defense week 1. Now it's the offense week 2. Yeah. So there's a lot of blame going around right now.
Yeah,
a lot of issues to deal with.
Yeah, I'm not going to fault them for losing Stefanski because now he's a head coach. It's not like they got rid of him and we're like, we don't like the way you run the offense. It's just unfortunate that they lost him, but yeah, that's definitely concerning.
Their offensive coordinator is Gary Kubiak now, for whatever that's worth.
Super Bowl winning head coach right there with the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he leave the league for he had health problems? Now he's back. Surprised he didn't get a head coaching job.
I'm not.
All right, I did have one more takeaway before we move on to the scrap heaps. And hey, this team, there's been plenty of years where they start off well, they look pretty decent, and then they just completely fold. They end up with a losing record. But the Las Vegas Raiders look pretty good right now. The offense looks good. Derek Carr is playing efficient football. He's spreading the ball around. Actually, he's not spreading the ball around because Darren Waller is a beast, getting 50% of the targets. But he's making good throws. Josh Jacobs is an animal. They're getting him all the touches that they can. Their offensive line, like you said, Matt, when we were talking earlier, they've invested the most money in the league in the O-line, and it shows how important it is because they just beat the New Orleans Saints last night, and that is no small feat. I know the Saints didn't have Michael Thomas, but come on, if they didn't have every player on the roster, would anyone say the Raiders are going to beat the Saints? I don't think so. So they look good, and it's pretty cool.
No, it's not.
I mean, not for you, but they have some decent weapons out there, some young weapons. Darren Waller's a really good tight end. I'm sure Ruggs will start coming along. They got that guy Brian Edwards.
He hasn't done anything, Ruggs.
Yeah.
1 catch for 4 yards yesterday.
They tried to hit him deep, but they just missed that. I'm sure they'll end up getting him involved somehow.
He did throw that pass interference that ended the game.
Yeah, but I think the main takeaway with their offense would be Josh Jacobs. He looks phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we said with the offensive line, that's really a great offensive line can take a mediocre offense to the next level. If you have a quarterback who can just sit back there and wait till guys get open and be conservative and not running for his life, good things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a running back like that, obviously helps too to open up some space for him. But yeah, the Raiders look good. I was very disappointed in the Saints offense last night, which we can get to when we do Packers-Saints a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, hats off to the Raiders. But they are, like you said, they are a team that has done this before and then falls off.
Yeah, no, I mean, they started, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. I think it might have been last year. They started off really well, and then the Jets beat them. And it was like a huge surprise. Yeah, and then they just fell apart the rest of the year.
The Jets crushed them.
They scored like 34 points on them.
Yeah.
Which is, if Adam Gase is coaching and you score more than 6, then that's bad.
It's a good win. Honestly, this might sound crazy, but Vegas is Vegas.
Okay, now we're ready.
When they play, I wouldn't be surprised if when they play in Vegas, they're significantly better than when they play on the road. These are young guys, just coming into the league. They're athletes. I'm sure they're out and about, fucking around in the days leading up to the game and shit. I know Kamara was on record saying, we play in New Orleans, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing, but they call it the Sin City for a reason. But nonetheless, good win. Who they have next week? They have the Pats. So that's honestly a good game. I'll tune into that game. Raiders are looking pretty good. Pats are looking pretty good. Are we picking that game?
No.
I don't know.
Give us a pick.
I'll take the Pats by 20.
Yeah,
they're just not going to go to New England and win. But
the whole go on the road this year, it's very different. I don't put much weight into a home field advantage.
Not really though. You're still traveling. It's not just the fans that make it. It's the travel and being in a different city and not being familiar with your surroundings. All that is still there. I'm calling fake news on the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, I am also. I'm not really buying into it. The extra wild card team makes that interesting. The AFC is not the strongest; it's kind of top heavy, but
I guess they would have made the playoffs last year right?
I think the Steelers would have.
Oh, right.
That's what they were saying.
Close.
That Pittsburgh the past couple of years would have made it if they had that extra spot. But
okay.
No, I don't buy into Derek Carr. Still, I know he's played well. The Saints, like I said, the Saints are having a lot of issues right now. Aside from Michael Thomas, they don't really look like what people had thought they would. So I'm not at all there with Derek with the Raiders yet.
Why?
What?
They beat the Bucks week 1.
Yeah, but Breeze just doesn't look the same, and their defense has not been that good either. they've been getting
Right.
carved up.
Well,
I think on the ground.
That's definitely a takeaway from that game as well. Is Breeze is the check down king. He does not air it out anymore at
not at all. They don't go downfield at all.
Yeah.
Even with Thomas.
I guess they don't really have. Even with Thomas, but I guess losing him just makes it that much worse because their weapons besides him and Kamara are just pretty ass.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders didn't even have a catch. He had one catch yesterday, and everyone thought he would be
Smith.
going off. Well, he had 5 for 86, but
yeah, he looked all right.
But yeah, no, something's not great over there with Breeze, especially. He doesn't look like the same guy. Okay, well, we're back with a new segment for 2020. Old segment, new to this NFL season. The Scrap Heap is back. For those who are not familiar, the Scrap Heap is basically each of us will pick one person in the world, be it a coach, an athlete, anybody really that we're feeling needs to get put through the ringer a little bit, who needs to be called out for their actions, and we will give them a piece of our mind. So who wants to start them off? Who's going into the first Scrap Heap of 2020?
I'll start it off. So this week for the first Scrap Heap, my first Scrap Heap of 2020, maybe a little predictable, but I'm scrapping Carson Wentz.
Good scrap.
Talk about a guy who's disappointing so far this season. I know the Eagles are dealing with some injuries, but these first two losses have been almost entirely on Carson Wentz. He has the most off-target passes in the NFL. And so he has the most off-target passes in the NFL with 20 through 2 games. And 15 of those have come from a clean pocket. This is a guy that people were talking about, it was just last season that people, halfway through the season, the Eagles were looking like they were out of it, and this guy had, a pretty hot stretch to end the year and lead them to the playoffs. And now he just looks like it's night and day. I'm seeing him get compared to guys like Jameis Winston, which, when you think about it, it's not the worst comparison ever. When he's hot, he's really good, and he looks like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But when he's bad, he's turning the ball over left and right. He's fumbling the ball. So far this season, he has 2 touchdowns and 4 picks. I guess Richard didn't care about this one.
There's no respect going on tonight. Couldn't wait.
But hey, we're talking about Carson Wentz here, so
yeah, he doesn't want to hear it.
People, so far by watching him play, people have been, doing what Richard just did and getting up and walking away from the screen. So, yeah, Carson Wentz, you're so far this season, you look like a backup quarterback. By the way, your team drafted a dude in the second round that, I doubt the Eagles spent a second-round pick on just a guy to be your backup. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Hurts gets, I'm hearing that the Eagles want to start using him in a Taysom Hill role and kind of get him a little bit involved with the offense and just get him on the field a little bit. But if Carson Wentz keeps playing like this, they might look to replace him before the end of the season, because like I said, they didn't use a second round pick to draft a backup quarterback. They see a future in Jalen Hurts. So he's playing like shit so far. He's my scrap heap. He's in my scrap heap for week 2 of the NFL season. And watch out for Jalen Hurts breathing down his neck after two pretty bad losses.
Rich, is he still better than Dak?
Remains to be seen.
Okay.
We'll see.
Maybe 8 years down the line.
Hey, that wasn't like that wasn't a crazy thing to think last year. Like,
yeah, now he looks much worse now.
Yeah, last year it was Carson Wentz playing playoff football, and Dak was sitting at home, doing nothing. So it's just crazy, and that's part of why I'm scrapping him. Is it's night and day compared to last year. He was great down the stretch last year, and now he's shit.
Mm-hmm. I think he'll figure it out to a degree. I think that there's obviously enough talent there, but he looks completely lost right now. And I'm not even going to give the offensive line that much of the blame because, yeah, Brandon Brooks is out, one of their guards. So the interior of the line is not what they thought it was going to be, but they have, they still have Jason Peters and Lane Johnson in the tackle spots. Kelsey in the middle is one of the best centers in the league. So, and they got Miles Sanders back last week too. So, and he played really well.
Yeah.
A lot of it just falls on Carson Wentz.
Right. It's a team in the Eagles are in win now mode. They play in a bad division. It's always, we're 2 weeks in, so it's early. But, that division is always up for grabs. And if they lose another game next week, they start digging themselves deep into a hole. Like Doug Peterson is gonna pull the plug on this. They play the Bengals, so they better win.
They also paid Wentz a lot of money, so the whole Jalen Hurts thing is like a very weird situation. Because I don't know.
They're kind of tied to him.
They're tied to Wentz, but they picked Jalen Hurts. I don't understand where that came from. And we talked about this, Rich, when he got drafted. The Taysom Hill idea is great, but Taysom Hill was what, like a 7th-round pick or an undrafted guy? Like, you don't spend a 2nd-round pick on a Taysom Hill role player.
Exactly. And have they even used him at all? I don't think so.
He was on the field, yes, on Sunday. He might have been like 1 or 2 snaps, but I saw him out there. It was just like a decoy thing.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what the plan is there, but a couple more games like this, and something's gonna have to change.
All right. Well, that's our first scrap heap of the NFL season. So nice to bring that one back, Mr. Carson Wentz. If you do not want to end up back on this list, I would suggest, picking up the slack, man, because you don't want to end up on the scrap heap. It does some things to you, mentally, physically, spiritually.
So for now, Carson Wentz can keep himself company with the 7 Bill O'Briens that are already in the scrap heap.
Yeah.
And I'll go next. This one hurts because it's close to home as a Chargers fan, but we know from scrap heap history, I've scrapped myself. No one here is safe from being scrap heaped. So sometimes it's painful, but it needs to be done. And this week, Anthony Lynn, you're getting scrapped. This is a twofold scrap, but I do think that they're kind of intertwined with one another. First, everyone knows the story of what happened during the game with Tyrod Taylor going out like right before kickoff. Herbert comes in, plays, does everything that you can realistically expect from a kid making his debut in a situation like that. So that was good. It was a close game, went to overtime. The part 1 of this scrap is going to be for Lynn's decision to punt the ball in overtime on 4th and 1. I think they were on their own side of the field. If you didn't get it, the game was definitely over. But punting it back to Patrick Mahomes when he only needs a field goal, the game is definitely over anyway. So, the offense had been playing well all day, like good enough. They were moving the ball downfield, making good plays. 4th and 1, how difficult is it to really get a 4th and 1, especially with a mobile quarterback? Like there has to be a play there that can get you something in that situation. And I saw this on Twitter, and I'm going to try to find where the source was, but it was, for whatever this is worth, that decision to go for it to punt it on 4th and 1 was rated as the 3rd worst coaching decision of the year in 2 weeks. So I don't know. I don't know who's doing that or if it's really reliable or whatnot. But yeah, that was just a bad call. Like, you just have to go for it there. You can't punt the ball back to Patrick Mahomes when he only needs to get a field goal, especially with how they had been playing in the second half. The defense played well enough in the beginning of the game to make Mahomes very uncomfortable. He had 60 yards at halftime, but you can't do that for a full game. So you just don't want him to have the ball. So that's part one. You have to show some balls and go for it there. That's losing football, doing something like that. And part two, it comes after the game when, despite how well Herbert played in his debut and despite the offense looking 100 times more competent with an actual passer in the game as opposed to Taylor, Lynn comes out and says that Tyrod Taylor is still the starter. He says that Herbert is a backup for a reason. There's a lot of things that we weren't able to do. He's like, we lost the game. Like, basically, like, shitting on Herbert almost, but like, really not showing him much love or not really acknowledging the game that he had at all, just immediately going to Tyrod Taylor as the starter. And I think part of that reason is he's trying to deflect a little bit of the blame for that bad coaching decision, the reason why they probably lost the game, and try to just act like we have a rookie quarterback who's not ready to play yet, and that's why he's out there and that's why they lost. So kind of in a way throwing his rookie quarterback under the bus. And I just don't understand how you could ever rationalize going back to Tyrod Taylor. For what? For him to play 3 more shitty games and then go to Herbert for the rest of the season? Like, what is the benefit at that point of going back to Taylor? So it remains to be seen. I hope to God he comes to his senses, or the GM steps in and says, dude, like, we need to fucking start Justin Herbert. Why wouldn't we do that? But just to immediately come out and go back to Tyrod Taylor, knowing how inept the offense was against the Bengals' terrible defense that Baker and the Browns carved up on a Thursday night, for Taylor, who wasn't able to do anything, and Herbert, who just showed a different dimension to the game for the offense, it makes absolutely no sense. And that could be a move that, if the Charger season goes down the shitter by sticking with Tyrod Taylor, like, he might have to be on the hot seat for not handing it over to the rookie. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so weird seeing all the quotes that you've been sending us, and it's just like, are you trying to pull this tough love thing, like not get Herbert in over his head? And then more and more starts coming out, and it's like, all right, this guy literally like doesn't want Herbert on the field, and it's like, yeah. Is he trying to prove something? Like, does he have this attachment to Tyrod Taylor that like he wants him to be good, and like wants to?
He does.
He wants to win with him, and like, I don't understand it. It's really weird. And is he like nervous that if he puts the season in the hands of a rookie that he'll be let go? And
yeah, that's an interesting take you had there, Matt, where it might just be like his insecurity about his coaching blunder being on display.
That's what it seems like, trying to deflect the blame a little bit. But it's just like, if you put the rookie in, it kind of buys you, extra time. It was a rookie quarterback. Maybe they go 5-11, 6-10. Bring the coach back second year, and they're ready to go. Like, it's almost like a free pass of a year for a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know if like ownership and management thinks of it that way.
They just extended him in the offseason.
Oh, I was gonna say he might. I was gonna say he might be on the hot seat already, but
I don't think so.
That would go against that claim. I don't know. Richard's probably right. He probably doesn't want to just gift wrap the starting job for Herbert, and he's a competitive guy who wants to win. And you heard what he said last time he checked. They didn't win the game, even though they took the defending Super Bowl champs down to the wire, and Herbert looked pretty fucking good.
And Tyrod looked terrible.
He's always been terrible. That's the weirder part, because he's never been good.
He hasn't even played in years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since Tyrod Taylor got like consistent starts.
Yeah, and the thing about it, where like I kind of understand where Lynn could be like have a little soft spot for Taylor. They were together in Buffalo when they went to the playoffs. He brought him into LA. He all offseason was, guaranteeing Tyrod's the starter. That was the plan. And after one game, Taylor unfortunately comes up with this injury, and then Herbert now balls out. I think it was one of the worst situations that Lynn wanted to be in right now, having to decide between his obviously somebody he has a lot of respect for and a relationship with,
Right.
and now this happened so fast where he's being forced to go with the rookie, and it's just he was probably promising Tyrod all year, all offseason, you're gonna get a lot of games in. We're gonna wait with Herbert, be patient, and now this kind of is forcing his hand.
And maybe he didn't even want Justin Herbert. Maybe he wanted them to draft someone else, and he has this attachment to Tyrod. And but also look, man, this is the NFL.
That's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, but this is the NFL. You don't get caught up in your personal relationships with guys because you're not in charge of the roster. And even if you are, you have to make hard decisions. You have to see it how it is. And I think everyone knows that Tyrod Taylor is not going to win you games. I don't care that they went to the playoffs in Buffalo. He was mediocre. He was a game manager. He just he didn't throw deep. He didn't make big plays. He just didn't make the wrong decisions. They had a good defense, and that was it. You're not doing anything or proving anyone wrong or going to shock the world with Tyrod Taylor. So he needs to hop off that train, get over it. I understand if you're friends or close, but if you want this team to for the future, do what's best for the future, you got to stick with Herbert.
Yeah, and he's gonna let his relationship with Tyrod Taylor cost him his job if he fucking keeps going with him and they have a terrible year and Herbert's just sitting there not developing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: nobody has watched. None of us have watched Justin Herbert more than Anthony Lynn has, and it's not like he looked amazing. He made some pretty terrible throws from what I saw. Just wildly inaccurate throws and terrible decisions too, especially on that play where he could have ran for the first down and he threw it downfield.
That's what you get.
Maybe he just doesn't think he's ready.
First start.
Maybe he doesn't think he's ready yet. It's week 2 and you're playing against the defending Super Bowl champs.
He looked ready. He looked ready enough where, I think that a lot of the young rookie mistakes and shit like that gets ironed out by playing and being in those situations. I think the learn on the fly method is for a rookie quarterback is the most beneficial way to go about it. Obviously that's, directly going in the face of what Patrick Mahomes did with Kansas City, but I just feel like you have to be out there and learn what you're doing wrong to be able to correct the things that you're going to do wrong when you finally do get that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's not going to – it doesn't even matter. I know, obviously you just said Patrick Mahomes, but if he sat a year, he's not going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
So
that's an outlier.
It's the biggest outlier in sports history. That doesn't happen. You don't sit on the bench and then come in and throw 50 touchdowns and win MVP. That's never going to happen again.
And Patrick Mahomes he's not Patrick Mahomes because he sat for his first year.
Yeah.
He's Patrick Mahomes because he's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. He would have done that if he started from day one.
Yeah.
He's that good.
But yeah, well, I guess we'll find out what the real deal is when Tyrod's healthy, and we'll see who he goes with, and who knows.
Yeah, man. Anthony Lynn. Just that fucking run the ball up the middle on 4th and 1. What are you playing for? You took the Chiefs to overtime. Go get the win. Give it back to Mahomes.
Run the ball up the middle on 4th and 1. That's not what I want to see. Especially with what happened with my scrap heap.
Oh. All right.
Yeah.
Good transition.
Yeah.
Herbert could dive over the pile. But all right,
he could.
Move on.
So, look. This is a scrap heap the whole world's going in on. This isn't unique. This isn't something that nobody knows. But we're scrap heaping Adam Gase today, and everybody knows why. I can't even believe from the start that we hired this guy. I can't believe he continues to go out after games and not take any blame or have any accountability for this offense that for 2 seasons now, or a season and now 2 games, just looks completely incompetent, unable to score, unable to do anything on a team that's not led by a backup quarterback or bottom 5 in the league. And look, I wanted to screen share this with you guys so it would be in the recording, but my computer's being weird. This is Sam Darnold's pass chart from the game. This is his pass chart. All the green is his. This is all his attempts. Literally all except for some of them downfield or were in like the fourth quarter in garbage time. Like all of them just by the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. Like, what are you doing with this kid? You're not letting him develop. You're not letting him play. You're calling screens. You're giving the ball to a 40-year-old running back, like trying to prove people wrong that you didn't need Le'Veon Bell. Like, has Le'Veon Bell ever gotten 15 carries in the first half with the Jets with Adam Gase coaching? I don't think so. He has like this stubborn mindset. He has this, I'm going to prove by doing it my way that we can be successful, and he's just holding the team back. And like, Matt, you're talking about the 4th and 1 run at the middle, and obviously like most of the time that's a great play, but they knew it was coming. I mean, for the Jets, they had the 4th and 1 in the 49ers red zone, and they just knew it was coming because they keep running the ball with Frank Gore. First down, run with Frank Gore. Second down, run again with Frank Gore. And then, they ran it on 3rd down with Frank Gore on that play. It was 3rd and 1, and then they sub him out and bring in Josh Adams, and then they take this long developing run play, and he just gets stuffed in the backfield. Roll Darnold out. Do something. Attempt a pass. Like, do something different for once. Like, stop acting like you have, the Jets 2010 O-line, like where all 5 of them are the best players in the league at their position. Like, you don't have that. You have to figure out ways to succeed with what you have. And he just doesn't seem to understand that. And it's so frustrating watching, Sam Darnold, someone who's shown in the past that he can, make plays with his feet, make plays on the run. He makes these incredible throws on the run, and he just has to sit in the pocket and they're just running these short routes like behind the sticks, behind the line of scrimmage, 3rd and 3, and they're running a pass behind the line of scrimmage. You're not going to send your receivers 3 yards downfield. Like, what? I don't understand. It's just baffling to me. And then the owner comes out and says he's an offensive genius, and like, where is it? Where is it? It's nowhere. It's not real. Obviously, he's not an offensive genius, and it's just so frustrating because then you see that pass Darnold makes at the end of the game, and I don't care if it was garbage time. That was an absolutely phenomenal throw, and he can throw downfield. He can make plays, and like it's almost like he's like trying to be like, we don't trust our court. Almost like when in the Super Bowl and Kyle Shanahan's kind of trying to protect Jimmy G. It's like Adam Gase is like, oh, Sam Darnold can't run my offense. You don't call a good offense. You have no offense. You don't do anything that's creative or cool. 2 weeks in a row, they're bottom 5 in the league in pre-snap motion, and all the best teams in the league are in that like top 10. It's just crazy, man. It's baffling. It's stupid. It's annoying. And then we got to go into hyperdrive now. He says after the game, no, you have to go into hyperdrive.
What the fuck does that mean?
You have to call plays that play to the strengths of your team. I don't care. And this is what he says. He says, we had some downfield shots planned, but then Brashad Perriman, he went out.
That.
It's just like Brashad Perriman's the only player on the team you can throw deep to. Yeah, he's fast. Josh Malone, whatever, practice squad player, he runs a 4.3 40. You can throw down the field to him. I don't care who he is. You can run the play. It's not that. It's like he has this misunderstanding of how football works. That if your players get hurt, you can't run the plays that you had planned. It's like he literally is saying like, I gave up because our guys got hurt, and like just that Sam Darnold pass chart just blows my mind. That all those short passes behind there's like 6 of them behind the line of scrimmage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then another 8 at the line of scrimmage. 8 passes behind or at the line of scrimmage, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 less than 5 yards away. What are you doing? What are you? And there was good protection. The O-line's been fine in pass protection. He has time. You can finally develop a route downfield. I understood last year when he would get pummeled as soon as the snap came out, but like you can run a play downfield. It's embarrassing. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it all there. But the thing that, like, that shit that he said about, like, the injuries to Perriman and, like, whatever, like, saying that we can't do it because of injury, like, You never hear coaches say that. That's not something that anyone says. It's next man up. It's like we have to keep going, do what we need to do, like win the game. Like to come out with excuses like that as to why you're not calling the plays, it's like, dude, take fucking accountability for yourself. Are you kidding me? That was mind-blowing to hear him say that.
I can't believe you would just admit like we had plays in the game plan to attack downfield, but we didn't use them because a guy got hurt. You can run plays with other people. And this guy, he talks up. Sorry, Alex, keep going. Go.
And then, like, if Brashad Perriman doesn't play next game, like, what who do we play next? The fucking Broncos?
No, the Colts.
The Colts? They're just going to guess they're not running any plays downfield. I guess we don't need to cover the whole back half. Like, oh my God, this guy fucking had one great season with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and has been absolute dog shit ever since. And I don't understand. When the Jets fire him, because if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna shoot myself. When the Jets fire him, he better not have another fucking head coaching job in the NFL, because he is an abomination of a head coach. And you can just from these last 2 seasons, you can really understand why every Dolphins fan was like, LOL when we hired him, and every player that's ever played for him is just like, fuck that guy, because he's a joke.
and he says all the right things. That's the problem. This whole offseason, he's been talking up Chris Herndon as this unique unicorn weapon. You could put him all over the field. He could be a tight end. You could put him at receiver, put him in the slot, he can block this and that, and he can do those things. I don't see them target him downfield once at all. Now he had a bad drop. I personally think it was a bad drop where Sam Darnold threw him a dime in the end zone, and he really should have caught it. It was almost similar, if you remember that play to Crowder last year against the Ravens, where he just like fitted in that one spot and Crowder like caught it falling out of the end zone. It was pretty similar, but even more open. Like that play with Crowder, there was a guy right there, but this one, like Herndon just should have caught it. But I don't see them target him downfield at all. And it's because they're calling these out routes and these plays to Chris Hogan and Braxton Berrios and all these random guys. Like, he doesn't use the good weapons that he has. He doesn't use Le'Veon Bell as a receiver. I know he's hurt now, but game 1 and all of last year, use these guys. Don't you want to have a job? Don't you want to keep the job? You're just consistently failing.
He'd rather try to do it his way and fail his way.
It's unbelievable to me. And
it's literally such a juvenile offense that it looks like it literally looks like I can grab a playbook and be like, yeah, let's try something different here.
I was watching the game film before, the All-22, and they ran a play where it was just both sides, there were 4 receivers, or it was a receiver and a tight end, receiver, and they all just ran outs. They all just ran outs and did nothing. It was incomplete pass, nobody was open. What? There's nothing going on. No one went in motion. No one did anything. Snap the ball. Everyone run a 5-yard out. That's literally what it was. And it's just how do you call that play? Do you think your offense is yeah, great?
Every good offense in the NFL is running fucking RPO. The receivers all have options on what route to run based on the coverage. It's just so much more complex, and defenses probably see the Jets on the schedule and they're probably just let's fucking go. Let's eat.
And he's the one was known for the great offensive mind, quarterback whisper, all this shit. Where did that start?
With Peyton Manning.
He just coached Peyton Manning.
Coach
it was
a guy.
Thing when he was in Chicago and with the Dolphins, that was an actual narrative. It's who was buying into this?
And Peyton Manning literally called the Jets owner.
Sabotage.
Sab literally was they beat me in the playoffs. Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck the Jets. Let's send him this guy.
I just feel so bad for Darnold because, his fault week 1. He was missing throws, but like this week he was making all the throws he's asked to make, and he just being asked to make the most like low potential throws, like we've been talking about, all these short little screens to Chris Hogan. Like, he's terrible. All right, whatever. He was good on the Pats 3 years ago. Like, what are you doing? Let the guy go. Like, we need to find out if this kid is good or not. And there's just nothing.
Didn't Darnold also say that they don't, like, he doesn't audible at the line? He doesn't change any of the plays? They just go. He said they just go with what
he can
Gase
audible.
said.
He wasn't allowed to audible on that play. Like, he had to stick with that play. And it's just like, any good head coach would be like, if you see something that will work, do that.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
Put trust in him. Don't handicap him. You're the reason that they're bad, not him.
Yeah.
Don't make it like, we can't trust you. Because they're bad when you're calling every other play. So
yeah. Joe Burrow audible the first game of his career, and he took it up the middle for a 25-yard touchdown run. If you see something, go for it. Every quarterback should have that ability. But not when you have a stubborn head coach that thinks that this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to have 5, 6, 7, 15, 17, whatever, how many more Adam Gase scrap heaps the rest of the year. So get used to it, people. But that's the scrap heap for me, and it's just so frustrating.
All right, what a segment.
Yeah.
2020 Scrap Heap back with a vengeance.
Yep. All right, before we get into the picks, I just have to pee really quick.
Class of week 2. Carson Wentz, B.O.B.
Oh, Anthony
Adam
Lynn.
Gase. Oh, shit.
B.O.B. is a permanent member, though, every week.
Yeah. He's in the rafters of the scrap heap. Anthony Lynn instead of B.O.B. Adam Gase, Carson Wentz. Congratulations.
Damn, these games are tough to pick, man.
Yeah.
Bills, Rams, I have no idea. What's going on in this Laker game? Commercial. Finally.
What happened?
Finally, dude. Jesus. You wearing that hat the whole time?
Yeah, but it was back.
Oh. Okay, moving on. Our final segment of the evening. Back to our predictions. So, again, just to recap, because I want to say it as many times as possible. I am in first place at 7-0. Alex, defending champion, second place, 4-3. Richard, and then we'll get into the games here.
Oh, whoa. Not even going to give me a record?
I thought it would just help you to not say it out loud.
Yeah, okay.
Richard,
Can't wait till I beat you.
Richard's in last at 2-5. But we have 4 games for you here. Alex and I were just talking off camera that these are very difficult games to pick. Great matchups, week 3 in the NFL. We'll jump right into it with the first game on the slate. Pair of undefeated teams here, both sitting at 2-0. The LA Rams going to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. I go first since I'm in first. Is that the rule that we're going with here? Make sure Richard can pick opposite of me. This one is probably the hardest one for me to pick because these are two teams that I think most people still have their reservations about or not ready to like fully buy into them. But I do buy into both of them. The Rams, I think, are back into, like I said earlier, that Super Bowl-looking team. Their defense has played very well. In the air, actually, they've actually given up over 100 yards on the ground in both games against the Eagles and the Cowboys. But, yeah, both of these teams look really good, and I do think both of them will have very good seasons and make the playoffs. So I'm really torn about this one. But I think I'm going to go with the LA Rams. Just because the biggest thing that I think that's going to happen here is, like we were saying before, with the Bills' defense struggling a little bit, specifically against the run. They're giving up about like almost 6 yards a carry per run. And while on paper you see that the Bills have allowed the third fewest rushing yards in the league thus far, like Alex, you said, I think he said they've been up the entire game, probably the entire, like most of the season, they've just had the lead, so teams have been throwing. They haven't been rushed against that often, but when they are getting ran against, they're picking up chunks of yards at a time. And the Rams' run game actually looks like it might be coming together a little bit. Darrell Henderson, Alex, your boy, ran for 87 yards and a touchdown last week.
Yep.
He finally
also
had
dropped a wide open touchdown pass.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, he's still putting it together.
Yeah.
And then they have Malcolm Brown, who had a great week one. Obviously, the rookie Cam Akers, so they really have a committee there, and you got to think, at least one of them will be feeling it on a given day, hopefully. But they do have a lot of options there. And so couple that with the Bills struggling with the run so far, I think it's going to be a close game, but right now I still trust the Rams more than I trust the Bills. So give me the Rams.
Isn't Akers hurt? Doesn't he have a rib injury? Pretty sure he might miss some time, but still, your point still stands. The Henderson, who I know people were pretty excited about him last year, and he kind of just never was able to get on the field. But looks like he finally put it together and had a decent game last week against the Eagles, so that's pretty exciting. I'm gonna agree with Matt here. I'm gonna go with the Rams. The Bills have looked great so far. Josh Allen, I think he has the 6th best odds to win MVP right now, which is kind of crazy. You would have been called crazy. Yeah, he hasn't thrown a pick. He's thrown for a shit ton of yards. He's running for touchdowns. He's throwing for touchdowns. That being said, he's played the Jets and Dolphins so far, so not particularly battle tested. And yeah, I just think I think they're a solid team. I agree with you. I do think they'll make the playoffs as well, but I think they might not be that well prepared for a really good, thorough, robust team like the Rams, who I'm also I wasn't big on. I mean, it was hard to be big on them last year because they weren't very good. But I agree with you. I think they look like they're back. Goff looks pretty good. They thoroughly beat the Eagles. They beat the Cowboys, who I'm still high on. I was bigger on them going into week one, but they've been more impressive to me so far than the Bills, being that the Bills haven't really played anyone that noteworthy. So I think the Rams are gonna put an end to the Bills' undefeated season this week.
Yeah, I guess it looks like we're going 3 for 3 across the board here. And you guys hit most of the important points, not really battle-tested playing the Jets and the Dolphins. Josh Allen is I thought when coming into the league he was going to be an absolute bust trash player. He's obviously not that. He's proven he belongs in the league, but I still think he has to prove that when he's playing against a good pass rush, good secondary, he has to prove he can make those tight window elite throws. And we still, even against the Dolphins last week when he has a career high in yards, he's air-mailing passes like absolutely it's like, what were you thinking there? Like, what were you doing? So I want to see him, when Aaron Donald is coming up the middle in his face and, have Jalen Ramsey covering your best receiver. But I like the Rams in this one. I think it'll just be a nice, smack in the mouth for the Bills, who they're a really good team, top to bottom. The Bills have great defense, great receivers, good running back, good O-line, quarterback who's taking the next step. But I just think the Rams are the better team in this one. And I think they're better coached. I think they have the better talent. And we'll see. It's definitely tough. It really could go either way here. But I like the Rams here.
Yeah. Yeah, I expect a close game there for sure. But all right, 3 Rams, 0 Bills. I wanted to take Buffalo, but I just can't do it.
What do you mean? We got Bills all over, bro. We're swimming in Bills.
Okay, the next game here. Cowboys at Seahawks. This is a game, 2 high-powered offenses, 2 teams who have been disappointing on defense, to say the least. 2 teams who got carved up by the Atlanta Falcons, which, listen, we all can make fun of the Falcons all we want, but that offense is prolific. It has been. That's the one thing that's been consistent. Even when they're bad, they have a great offense. They put up a lot of points. So nothing really to be too upset about there. But Cowboys at Seahawks.
I'll go, unless you were about to go, Matt. But
yeah, you don't have to go first.
Okay, yeah, I'm still thinking here. Somebody wants to take over.
It's not all about you just because you're in first place. Just saying.
I'm 7-0. If anybody missed that earlier in the show.
So I'm gonna go with
Richard's
the Seahawks.
2-5.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. Russell Wilson is on an absolute tear. They finally bought into letting him throw the ball as much as possible instead of trying to be this, run first, conservative, hold the ball and let the defense do the work, which I can't believe they were still on that these past few years when Russell Wilson's their quarterback. I understood it when he was a rookie in his second year, but he's top 5 quarterback in the league, maybe the best. No, Patrick Mahomes is obviously the best, but he's top 3.
Top 3.
Nobody's stopping him right now. That DK Metcalf has taken that next step. Tyler Lockett we know is great. Chris Carson is an excellent back. The Cowboys, excellent comeback last week against the Falcons, a team that I do not think is a big threat, the Falcons. But, either way, it's hard to do. But I just don't think anyone's stopping Russell Wilson in that offense right now. And, maybe Dak will have a field day against, as we spoke earlier, this shaky Seattle secondary. But in the end, I got to go with the guy who, has proven time and time again he's clutch. He gets it done when he needs to, and is top 3 quarterback in the NFL, Russell Wilson.
Sounds like you're talking about Dak.
I did mention him.
I just heard clutch.
Going with Seattle here. I think they're the better team.
All right.
Dak sucks.
Clearly.
All right. I'll go next. This might be a little unexpected, but I'm going with the Cowboys. The Seahawks offense is obviously great. We don't need to talk about Russell Wilson anymore. Top 3 quarterback in the league, hands down.
Give me your full game analysis now.
So on 3rd and 2 with 3 minutes left in the third. No, I'm kidding. But as I was saying earlier when we were talking about Cam and the Pats, this Seahawks defense is really fucking bad. The secondary is just getting absolutely obliterated So and the Cowboys offense it's starting to cook. I know they sputtered a little bit early in the game against the Falcons, a few turnovers that led to some points. I think this week they get that shored up, and I think it's going to be a shootout. And I think the Cowboys just have. I mean, the Seahawks have great weapons, but I think the Cowboys have the advantage there in terms of, better running back, better receiving core. The quarterback is not better, but Dak had a signature performance in week 2. That was one of those games where, you look at the $40 million per year contract that he's probably going to get, and that's what you're looking for when you pay a quarterback that much. So I love Wilson. I think the Seahawks are going to be a good team. I'm just not sold on them on the defensive end. So I'm taking the boys.
Good stuff. I am going to agree with you, Alex. I'm also going to take the Cowboys.
Easy money.
The biggest thing for me, I think both offenses are going to obviously put up points. They're both stacked from top to bottom with weapons, both strong run games. Honestly, and I was going to say the Seahawks offensive line is not good. It's not that great, but if you look at the way Dallas's offensive line has been thus far this year and even last year, they're not the same like Dallas Cowboys offensive line that everyone's used to. Especially running wise, their run blocking has not been that good, but Zeke is just an animal and finds ways to get yards, and he just crushes people. He just runs right over people. Like 3 or 4 times a game, you can just expect him to lower his shoulder and crack someone. But the difference that I think is going to be the deciding factor here is while the offense has put up points, I think the Cowboys defense, while not very great, there's a lot of holes. It's stronger than the Seahawks. So I think in a shootout, I think Dallas will squeak one out. And one thing that's interesting that I was
they'll
up,
go.
one thing that was interesting was looking up some of the numbers about this game is that the Seahawks have the top running defense in the league right now. They've given up the fewest yards on the ground, but I think that it's a misleading stat similar to like what the Jets were last year. When you have the worst secondary in the league, why are they going to run on you when they can just pass all day? So like it makes the run defense look better when people aren't running the ball, obviously. So I'm not buying into that.
They would legit stop the run. It wasn't that.
It was part of that. There was a little bit of that.
They would they held Saquon Barkley to 1 yard on 13 carries.
Yeah, okay. The Jets' run defense last year, I think, is better than the Seahawks this year. I'm just saying that this is a more extreme version of that.
Whatever,
and especially going up against Zeke, like I'm not actually expecting the Seahawks defense to stop Zeke just because haven't given up a lot of yards on the ground yet. I think all 3 receivers are going to eat for the Cowboys. Gallup actually hasn't been doing that much. CeeDee Lamb looks like he's taken over the number 2 already. But Zeke I think they're just going to be feeding Zeke up the middle. And I don't trust the Seahawks defense to really get many stops at all in this game. So, Cowboys for me and Alex, Seahawks for Richard.
All right, let's move on.
I'm trying to find.
Game,
it's not. It doesn't matter anymore. But I was trying to look at how the Packers and Seahawks would play each other when McCarthy was the head coach of the Packers.
Interesting.
Looks
and
like
the Seahawks beat them in the replacement ref game.
Right. Looks like the Packers had the upper hand as of late.
All
Interesting.
Right. What's the next game?
Sure. The next game, speaking of the Packers, we have 2-0 Green Bay going into New Orleans to play the 1-1 New Orleans Saints. Alex, why don't you start us off this time?
Who is it? Sorry, New Orleans, Green Bay.
Packers at Saints.
Okay. Sure, I'll start us off. So the game's in New Orleans. the Superdome will be rocking with no fans. So this is Sunday night. I can't bet against Aaron Rodgers right now. I know I came into the season saying that he's been regressing a little bit and he's throwing the ball out of bounds a lot, but he's looking like a bad man early in this season. And as we were saying before, Breeze looks like that quarterback that I expected Rodgers to be coming into this season, where just checking the ball down a lot, ultra conservative, not pushing the ball downfield. They don't have Michael Thomas, so that's a big loss. I expect that Kamara is going to be getting the ball a lot, as he did last week against the Raiders, and he had a terrific game. So I expect the Saints to feed Kamara the ball a lot, and if that's not going to be enough to beat the Las Vegas Raiders, then it's not going to be enough to keep pace with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, who have just been, they fell behind early to the Lions, but after they went down 14-3, they kind of just pummeled them as expected. So give me the Packers going into New Orleans and beating the Saints, staying undefeated.
Matthew?
Yeah, that's 3 of the 4 picks so far, Alex. We are in lockstep, so it's going to be tough for you to move this week. I'm going to go with the Packers also. I don't want to overreact too much to last night Saints-Raider game, but I am kind of a little bit down on the Saints right now, as I've said throughout the show today. Think that there's a lot of cause for concern that might start to show later on as the season progresses. And I know what people will say is, well, they beat the Bucs, they put up 34 points week 1. They no one thought that before the Raider game, and that's true. Like, they played really well, but it's a Bucs team that was a Bucs team that had new faces all across both sides of the ball. Defense, was young. They're a young defense. That Brady pick 6 that really changed the momentum of the game was a terrible throw. I think if they ran that game back again, when they do, I think it goes a little bit differently. But last night against the Raiders, like I've said a lot about it already, so I won't go too long. But their offense outside of Kamara doesn't exist with Michael Thomas out, and I don't know if Thomas is going to be able to play this week. I'm not expecting him to, the way that it's been talked about. But without him, and going up against the Packers, who look like they're just clicking on all cylinders early right now, which is scary for NFC teams, I think the Packers are going to win this one pretty convincingly.
I guess we're going 3 for 3 again here. I don't know, man. Because Drew Brees at the end of last year wasn't looking really good. He started off really well, and he kind of fell off. And I just don't know if he really can, carry this team anymore like he used to. I mean, he's obviously on the older side. He's I think he's the second oldest quarterback in the league. But I just think Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind. The Packers look like the better team right now, and it's through 2 weeks, whatever. But I'm going with the Packers.
Yep. One thing, too, that I wanted to mention and I forgot, the Packers' pass blocking is tops in the league right now. I don't think Rodgers has been sacked or pressured too much. If you're giving Aaron Rodgers time in the pocket, bad things are going to happen to your defense. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. If his offensive line is healthy and strong like that, they're going to have a very good year.
Mm-hmm.
And the final game that we have, our Monday Night Football game, candidate for a game of the year, the AFC Championship game that we all hoped we saw last year, that did not materialize, is the Kansas City Chiefs going into Baltimore to play the Baltimore regular season Ravens. And who wants to kick us off here?
I didn't know you had animosity toward Baltimore.
He hates Lamar for no reason.
I don't hate Lamar. Stop
hate
it.
Lamar.
I took the L on that one early. I know he's great.
You literally
in the
think
regular
Flacco
season.
should still be there.
That was bad. That year he should have been in there.
Still no postseason wins for Lamar over there.
Yeah, what's Mahomes done?
Regular season Ravens. But no, that does matter. The Ravens in the regular season are incredible. They've won their last 8 games by 10 or more points.
After all, this is a regular season game.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's a little cause for concern here. I'm taking the Chiefs, though. They're actually getting plus 3.5 in this game, which is a little bit enticing as a gambling man. But I think they're going to win it outright. I just think, like I've been saying, the Ravens' defense is a little bit overrated, I think. They played the Browns and then the Texans. I mean, those are decent offenses, but I'm not really sold on the Ravens' defense, especially their secondary. And there's no denying that the Chiefs' offense will be able to keep up with the Ravens' offense. It should be a high-scoring game. It should be a lot of big plays, fun game to watch, kind of like the Chiefs-Rams game 2 years ago on Monday night. Hopefully we get something like that.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
What was it, 54-51?
Yeah, it was insane. It was just 80-yard touchdown after 80-yard touchdown.
Alex said that was the most miserable night of his life.
He hated that game.
I knew that was coming. The 49ers Seahawks game last year was better.
Yeah,
Alex. Didn't the 49ers and Saints have a crazy game too? It was like 45.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
That was last year. Yeah.
What was the 49ers Seahawks? What happened there?
That was week 17?
No.
I think we should just pick last year's games.
49ers Seahawks was the overtime game with the field goals. That one.
Oh, yeah, when the Niners kicker shanked that field goal worse than anyone in NFL history.
I don't remember.
It was the greatest game I've ever seen.
It was good. But Alex was a big fan. He was talking about this off the air. The Jaguars-Bills 7-3 playoff game. That
it was
one.
10-7. Come on.
Edge of his seat.
Oh, it was 10-3.
I like those kind of games. I'll take the Chiefs in a barn burner, but the Chiefs are better than the Ravens, and Lamar's overrated.
Yeah. I don't have
kidding.
Interesting. I don't have much to say about this one. I'll probably never pick against the Chiefs. So, actually, didn't I pick against them? Texans Chiefs last year, and I was right.
You did. No, you did week 1 this year. No, you didn't. I'm sorry.
No, it was last year, and you were right.
No, that was Texans Pats when the Pats were undefeated or something.
Right.
Idiot.
Yeah.
But you were right.
That being said, I'll probably never pick against the Chiefs just because Patrick Mahomes. So give me the Chiefs.
I will pick against the Chiefs right now. And I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Like that?
I don't think the Chiefs defense is anything special. I think the regular season Ravens can get something going here. And I think who they played last year in the regular season. Did the Ravens win that?
No, the Chiefs won.
Chiefs won. I think they want that revenge. And they
could have got it in the AFC title game if they made it there. Yeah, Chiefs were waiting.
But this isn't the playoffs, so different team. No, I think we're in store for a great game, but I'm going with the Ravens.
Cool.
Cool, yeah. No, I just
you don't like the Chiefs.
There's not I mean like I'm not going to be like, they're better at this, they're better at that. They're both great teams. They're both the best 2 teams in the AFC. Obviously, Mahomes is the better quarterback, but I think both excellently coached teams. I think the Ravens have a little bit better defense, and I think that the Chiefs' defense is a little shaky, so I think Lamar can get something going.
Yeah, you're taking the home team, and you're taking the favorite. So
yeah.
Not that crazy.
So this is mine and Alex's upset pick of the week. Chiefs for the upset win.
Yeah.
That's how we get one right.
That's crazy that they're not. I mean, I guess best 2 teams.
It's basically
in the AFC,
a toss-up, and it's in Baltimore. But yeah, so there are the picks. Me and Alex, 4 similar picks here, so that'll be a little boring. And then Richard has 2 opposite of us. So Richard can either make up some ground here or fall further down into his hole.
Matt, it's going to be really annoying when you're 11-0 next week.
Oh, yeah, you want me to be 11-0.
There's no upset picks this week, but you
funny.
should probably bet on the Jets.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you some money, bro. For the
Yeah. I don't know what he's talking about.
No, I don't know what you're talking
Should we
about.
toss an upset
No, it
out?
doesn't matter.
I'll toss an upset out.
What's your upset? Quick.
Sure.
Not for real, unless you want to do a real upset.
These will be the upsets, the tiebreakers. We're all 0-1.
Let's see.
Mine will be the Giants over the 49ers. Giants are like +4.5, I think. At home. Give me the Giants
Mine will
for
be
a little surprise.
the Washington football team over the Browns. Back-to-back weeks picking the Browns as my upset.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Raiders over the Pats.
Nice. It's a good one.
It's my upset.
All
All right,
right.
so we got our picks, we got our upsets. We had some scrap heaps, which were very fiery and passionate. I think that was our best scrap heap in a while.
For sure.
So
Our only scrap heap in a while.
Yeah. So that's it for this week. Nobody knew this, but behind the scenes, I was having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, that doesn't affect the episode at all. I think I got it figured out mid-episode, but thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. When we come back, I will be making up a lot of ground in our pick records.
Sure.
Matt and Alex don't know what they're doing. All right. Thank you very much.
Peace.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.